the manifestations, that's as a result of thought and trending that's been going on for a while, and it's not going to change all at once. But if you are paying attention to the improvement in the way you feel, now you can experience the satisfaction of this in-the-moment improving. Now, you are touching on the most significant thing. This is the tripping point for most humanese. This is the tripping point. I think I'm doing good, and a manifestation happens that doesn't match what I think is good, then I focus upon that, and then I change my point of attraction so that I keep cycling in that. Where what Esther has been saying, this is something that comes up from time to time between Esther and her daughter, her blessed best friend on the planet, daughter, who gives her more grief than the rest of the world put together in love and care. She will say, but Mom, you always said da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da about that. And Esther said, you got to let the new me be the new me. You got to give the new me a chance, because you're remembering the old me, and I don't blame you for remembering the old me, because I've been the old me for a long time. But you've got to give the new me a chance. Well, she says that to her daughter, and they have a lot of fun with that, but she's saying it to herself too. Got to give this new, improved way that I feel. Another thing that Esther is saying to herself really often is, even though something didn't go the way she wanted to go, I didn't feel nearly as bad about that this time as I did last time. I think I took that well. That would have kept me up all night long. And it didn't. And it didn't keep me up all night long. Yeah, it brushed up against me and it didn't feel good, but it didn't keep me awake all night long. That means emotional improvement has been happening. That means new trending is happening. And before long, those things won't happen at all. Esther had a powerful dream. Dreams are really good. Do you dream? Yeah. At night while you're sleeping? And so Esther had a dream that she was in a big, beautiful rock star Prevost bus. She and Jerry had a few of those that they were rolling around the country in. Just, it floated on air. It was so much fun. And in her dream, it's a person that she knows on television who she respects, and he owns this bus. And Esther's been bragging about how she drove those big buses around for 12 years, and she's really, really good at it. And he said, good, I don't know anything about it. I'd like you to drive my bus. At least show me how. So Esther gets in, she's behind the wheel, he's sitting in the passenger seat, and there are other people in the bus that don't seem important in the dream. They're just back there. People he knows that she doesn't know. So she gets behind the wheel, and right away, something brushes the driver's side corner of the bus. Doesn't crinkle it, just scuffs it a little bit. And Esther notices it, and he notices it, but he's too polite to say anything. And Esther doesn't even want to admit that it happened, and so both of them are silent about it. And then, these big buses, you want to go where big things are. And so they were in the place, the delivery place, and there were other big things all around. And some other big things started backing up and scraped the whole side of the bus. He still didn't say anything. And Esther felt responsible, but didn't feel responsible because she hadn't even started to move the thing, and already something had damaged it. And then something else came from another place and knocked the driver's mirror right off the bus, knocked it off the bus. He still didn't say anything. He's a very polite person. And then someone beep, 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 backed right into the front of the bus and just crumpled the whole front of it. And he stood up and he said, well, that's it. And left the bus like, this bus is done. So Esther awakened at that point, and she thought, that's some point of attraction I got going on in my dream. What is it? Can you guess? We gave you a clue earlier. Victim. just sitting there, minding my own business, doing everything exactly right. I'm good at this. I drove these big buses around for 10 years. I know exactly what I'm doing. And other idiots are just banging into me. And when Esther awakened and thought about it in that way, she thought, yeah, I've had some of that going on. Things that I can't control going on around me until I'm starting to feel like I can't control the pandemic. I can't make the airplanes fly on time. I can't get the hotel rooms to do what they say they're going to do. I can't set up on Friday night, even though they told us that we could set up on Friday night. So instead, we have to set up on Saturday morning, and it's a real crush for everybody. In other words, things just happening around that I can't control. And without realizing it until her dream, Esther was having knee-jerk reactions to the things in the world that she can't change. But she can change the only thing that matters, the way she feels about it. You see, it's not about what's happening. It's about how you feel about what's happening. It's about how you approach it with your thoughts, because that's what sets up next and next and next and next. Here's the thing. If you're oblivious to it, you're not doing anything about it. But as you care about, as you accept your point of attraction, in other words, that dream made Esther see her point of attraction. She has bragged to everybody, I drove these big old buses around this nation, thousands and thousands and thousands of miles. It never rained on us. It never snowed on us. We never had an accident. Everything always went well. In other words, she liked being in control of her life that way. But we want her to understand, because it's the way that it is, we want you all to understand, you don't control through your actions. You control through your point of attraction, which is evidenced to you by your emotions. And so it is your reaction to things that you're wanting to learn to take it easier, take it easier, take it easier, take it easier. You're a deliberate creator. We know that you are. We can feel that you are. But you're also an analyzer of what's happening. And sometimes they're just out of bagels. And it doesn't require a long conversation of explaining all of the moving parts. You get so distracted by trying to understand all of the moving parts that are going on, when really we want you to feel the simplicity of this. There's just me standing in my physical body, me in my human body, me in the vibrational universe, outputting a vibration, and my emotions are letting me know what the output is. If I don't pay attention and do something when the output is negatively attracting, it's all right. The trending of the emotion will just cause it to become more obvious and more obvious and more obvious and more obvious. Well, for Esther, the dream showed her the manifestation. In other words, her life was showing her too, but nothing to the degree of what showed up in the dreams. Your dreams are so great, because they'll show you things that aren't significant enough to manifest in real life, but are significant enough in your slumber where you're not resisting the reception of it to show you where you're trending. Not a better reaction to what's happening, a more balanced state before it happens. Because how you feel and then it happens, how are you not going to react to what happens? But you said the words, get out ahead of it. If you're practicing that feeling of love and that feeling of well-being, if you're praising yourselves and praising others, and you do that a lot, if that's what's dominating your vibration, then there's not stuff that you're reacting to. Then you're reacting to the manifestations that feel good rather than the manifestations that feel bad. We can say this better. So, manifestations are happening, good and bad, wanted and unwanted. It's true of everyone. And they're not happening randomly. They're happening in exact proportion to what you're outputting vibrationally. Lots of times, you don't even know you're outputting it vibrationally until something manifests. When it manifests, take it as the information that it is. And say, do I want more of that? Then I'll keep feeling like I feel when it happened. I don't want more of that. Then I'm going to feel differently. How can I feel differently? It just happened. Well, right now, after it just happened, you can't feel differently. But you could be nicer to yourself about it. You could give yourself a break. You could say, I didn't realize that that's how I was attracting, and I'm glad that now I do realize. I'm glad that I can connect the dots. Nothing comes to me that I didn't ask for vibrationally. But it doesn't mean I was bad or wrong or unwise. It just means I was trending that way without deliberate attention. And now I'm going to pay more attention. But not necessarily to that subject, to how I feel on all subjects. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
That's the ultimate getting out ahead of it, is I have one thing on my mind and one thing only. I want to feel good. I want to feel good. Oh, no, we can say that better. I want to feel as good as I'm capable of feeling right now. And that's good enough. That has to be good enough. Because we're not asking you to find the path of no resistance right now, this red hot minute. We're asking you to find your path of least resistance, if you can. And you can.